MetsMusings is a proud member of BaseballPodcasts.net, the home of great baseball talk shows.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
And hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings. Don't forget you can look for us at MetsMusings.com, BaseballPodcast.net, Stitcher.com, iTunes.com, and TuneIn.com. If you have a question or comment, feel free to get it to us. There are main three ways to do it. You can email us at metsmusings@gmail.com or call the voicemail comment hotline at 516-619-6341 or go to metsmusings.com, click on the widget on the right-hand side of the page and send a voicemail right there through the page, and I'll play it right here on the show. Okay, now let's talk some New York Mets baseball. Well, when we last left, it wasn't a good week last week, and the big bad Braves are coming into town, and it didn't start out good the week. Lost the first two games to the Atlanta Braves as the Mets just couldn't get anything going offensively. There was mishaps defensively. The pitching kind of slacked off. And it came to Sunday night where the Mets came from behind to win the game. And Ike Davis, yes, I know Ike Davis got the hit that won that game on Sunday night on national TV. And the Mets were winners. And it just started a whole ball of wax going there. And just amazing as the big Subway Series came about. As you know, we spoke to our great guest, Stacy Gatsalias, last week. And it's just incredible what happened. Mets taking Monday night. Jonathan East pitched a great game. He allowed one run over 7 innings. Generated a lot of ground balls. Worked out of a lot of jams. David Wright had 2 big hits, including a triple and a solo home run that tied the game. And, both pitches, Phil Hughes, let's give him some applause too, because he pitched a wonderful game. But the Mets were able to pull it out and just amazingly won game 1 of the series. And that brought us to Tuesday night, where they won another game where they couldn't do anything against Kuroda, and Harvey and Kuroda really matched up there for some great game on Tuesday night. But we went to the ninth against Mariano Rivera, and it didn't look good at all. But again, Murphy and Wright came through, got the game tied up. And the Mets were winners once again as Lucas Duda got the big hit to win the game. And then the scene changed as we moved to Yankee Stadium. And that was last night's game as we're recording this on Thursday night. In fact, the fourth and final game of the set, is being played right now. But last night, the Mets scored 5 runs in the first inning, then tacked on a couple of additional runs in the third, the fourth, and the ninth. Marlon Byrd hit a solo home run. Ike Davis, there's that name again, and John Buck had RBI singles, and Daniel Murphy had an RBI double. And Jeremy having to pitch some game, he let up 3 runs, 9 hits in 6 innings, and got his first win of the season. And Jeremy has been pitching well these last couple of turns, and really it's up to Dylan G now to do the job, because Zach Wheeler is going to be ready. He's coming up, folks. I'm going to say he's going to come up and pitch June 11th against the Cardinals. I feel it's either going to be the 6th against Washington or the 11th against the Cardinals at home. Either one. That's what I'm saying. And really, Dylan G could be the odd man out at this point because Hefner's pitching well. And, uh, it's going to be up to Dylan G to get his act together. They always can move Hefner to the bullpen, or another thing that happened today with Jonathan Neese, which we'll go over in a few minutes, could save everybody for a while. But really, Dylan G has to step up tonight and really do a good job. So the Metsies took 3 out of the 4 so far with the Yankees and came up with a 4-2 week since our last get-together. And it's just been amazing to watch. Where did this team come from? What happened to the Mets that were losing last week? And they just got up, I guess, for the Yankees and have just played excellent baseball. A couple of the guys, though, have been in trouble. Ike Davis and Ruben Tejada now both were about to be demoted, but after they pulled out the victory Tuesday night, they decided against it for the time being. And had a meeting with them before yesterday's game and essentially told them to get on the stick or else they'll be going to Las Vegas. And Tejada started off the game with a base hit. Didn't do much afterwards and had another brain freeze moment, allowing a run to score as he was slow in charging a ball and double clutched on it. And that hurt, and a run scored in yesterday's game against Jeremy Hefner. But all in all, they've been playing great ball this week, and hopefully they can get on a run. They're in a good position now because the schedule is looking good for them. They're playing after tonight. They are playing 3 in Miami over the weekend. Miami can be had. Then they have an off day, and then they go to Washington for 3. Now, Washington's been struggling. So they could have an opportunity there, though. Look, Washington's a tough team, no doubt about it. And it'll be interesting to see if they can come out of this little funk that they're in. But they are an excellent team. But, they may be a little down right now. Now's the time to try and take them. We'll see what happens. And that'll bring us back to next week's show. But we do have some news and notes on the happening. As I said about Tejada, he instead of getting demoted, he was injured. He strained a quad muscle, and so he went on the disabled list. So that kind of solves that demotion problem for the time being, as Ruben Tejada is on the DL. And the Mets called up Omar Quintanilla to take his place, and he was put on the 40-man roster, and they had to make a move. So Frank Francisco has been moved to the 60-day disabled list to make room on the 40-man roster for Omar Quintanilla. Now, Henry Mejia is due to come off of that 60-day list soon, so they're going to have to eventually make room on the 40-man roster for somebody, and who knows what decision they will come to. But that is that's the latest news. And of course, as I was talking about Jonathan Neese, he has been scratched from his next start on Saturday against the Miami Marlins, as he has some shoulder tendonitis, they're calling it, and it's expected that he will miss only the one start. They think that will be enough to heal this up, and they'll probably give him a shot of cortisone and see how he goes from there. So let's hope that that's not anything more serious than just a little tendonitis. And he says it's been bothering him the last couple of starts. So Neese is out on Saturday against the Miami Marlins. Colin McHugh will make the start in his place. And Zach Wheeler was announced will be limited to 180 to 185 innings this season, according to GM Sandy Alderson. Alderson said that the organization likes to add only 30 innings a year for pitchers, and Wheeler threw 149 innings last season between Double and Triple A. He has thrown 48 and one-third innings at Triple A this year, though I believe he may be pitching tonight, so that number will go up. And he didn't have a good outing his last outing. It was a little rocky. He looked a little rusty and just still having some control issues. So it's up to him right now. He's the one that's going to determine when he can come up. And, of course, the whole Super 2 arbitration thing and the free agency thing, service time, that's all to play with it. But I would expect him up here in a couple of weeks. All he needs to do is have a couple of good starts, show he's ready, and he may be one of those pitchers that, for lack of a better term, is bored by the minor leagues. Look, Harvey, he struggled a little bit, and once they brought him up, well, we know what he's done so far, so it could be the same kind of thing with Wheeler. He's done what he could do down there, and now he needs to get here. And I would expect after 2 more starts, not counting tonight, maybe another 2, he'll be up here, which would bring him about to the 11th of June or so. So I'm going to say the 6th or the 11th, Wheeler will be up here in around that area. So look for that. All right, we've got a guest warming up in the bullpen for us tonight, and that would be Frank Conti of Marlins Country. So we're going to take a break and be back with Frank in just a few minutes. So stay tuned for that.
Introducing BaseballPodcast.net. Listen to your favorite baseball podcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, only at BaseballPodcasts.net. You can hear Mets Musings, the Mets podcast, Brewtown Sports. It's a Milwaukee Brewers podcast. We have the Japanese Baseball Weekly on Japan Baseball Weekly podcast. We also have an Atlanta Braves podcast talking about the Braves there. And, of course, your Fightin' Phillies podcast called Phillies Talk. So once you stop by, that's baseballpodcasts with an S.net.
For all the listeners of Mets Musings, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their service. Over 75,000 titles to choose from in all different categories, including science fiction, mysteries, biographies, sports, computers, you name it, they have it to download. To download your free audiobook today, go to audiblepodcast.com/MetsMusings. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/MetsMusings for your free audiobook. All right, we're back, and we're being joined on the telephone by Frank Conti, who is the host of a podcast called Marlins Country, and also a blog by the same name. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be on.
So, Frank, the Mets are coming down to play the Marlins this weekend, big 3-game set, and I know the Marlins are struggling, but what can you tell us about how they're playing so far this season?
Well, they're in transition. I think the Mets are a little ahead of them. But, last year we went out, we spent a ton of money on the team, and new ballpark, new look, new name. Didn't quite work out the way we thought it would. So we kind of went back to what we know, and that's young players. So we traded off a bunch of our players for some younger players that we think are going to be stars in the future. And besides the Detroit trade that we made, back in 2004, I want to say, with Miguel Cabrera,
Mm-hmm.
all the other trades have been pretty good. Our front office has done some nice things with some players. Obviously drafting Stanton, we all know about him, and a couple other guys like Lomo and stuff. So we've done pretty good with young players. So that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to go back to what they know and build a championship. And because they're hoping people show up to the ballpark and they can keep the core when the core is there instead of always turning it over like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we're not having anybody come to the ballpark, so we'll see how that works out for the future. But we're playing pretty good. I mean, we're playing a lot better lately. Like we're scoring runs. Maybe 4 of the last 7 games we scored more than 2 runs.
Right.
I know, maybe you might laugh as Met fans, but we had trouble scoring runs, but we're getting there, and we're doing it with a very low key lineup. I mean, we don't have Stan, we don't have Lomo. Solano was our best hitter this year at one point, up for a while, and he's on the DL. Now those guys are coming back. You might see Lomo in this series. You might.
Okay.
If not, he'll be back for the next series. But Stanton had a setback, so you won't see him. You will see Jacob Turner tomorrow. He got called up to pitch against the Mets tomorrow. So, with Sanabia being injured, so you're going to see Jacob Turner.
Okay.
His numbers are not that great. 3-4 with a 4.47 ERA, 14 walks, 35 Ks in AAA. So, we'll see. I mean, our young guys, Suna, Dietrich, are playing very well. So as soon as on a 15-game hitting streak, Dietrich's showing a lot of power. Our defense is good. We just have to get the other guys back in the lineup. But, this series, no matter what the Mets and Marlins are doing during the season or who's injured, they play each other like Game 7 in the World Series every time.
Yeah,
they
that's
play.
for sure.
I mean, they're great games.
Yeah, there's a nice little rivalry there that they're building up, and hope it continues because we need that in the game of baseball. So how's the pitching staff? I know when the Marlins were in, we saw the young phenom Fernandez.
I think you'll see him on Saturday too.
Also, we're going to get him again.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what your pitching lineup is, but I think it's going to be ours is going to be Turner, Fernandez, and Slowey is going to be ours.
And ours will probably be Markham. Now, Neese was supposed to pitch Saturday, but he's been scratched. So you're going to get Colin McHugh, who was a recent call-up from AAA. And Sunday, is that Harvey Day?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you might get Harvey. So that'll be.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to, because right now any pitcher looks good against the Marlins.
Yeah.
I mean, they pitch 7 innings of 2-run ball and they look good. I mean, we'll get 10 hits off them, but we can't get the 2-out hit. We can't get the small ball run. It's just those little things. And I don't know about the Mets. I mean, I know Buck was tearing it up. I don't know how he's doing right now. David Wright's always good. I'm a Mike Davis fan, but I heard that he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. But Lucas Dupa looks like he's coming around. Or I mean, what I seen out of him again in this Yankee series, and overall statistics, he looks like he's doing all right. Is that the case, or?
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Duda is coming around. He's got. He spent a lot of time the first part of the year taking walks and getting deep into counts. Now they want him to try to be a little bit more aggressive, and he's been going after more. Still getting walked, but he's going after more first pitches, and he's been. The knock on him is he hasn't been able to drive in runs, get the big hit to drive in runs, but he's starting to come around even in that matter. Ike Davis is not hitting at all. He had a couple of big hits. Sunday night he had a 2-run single to win the game, and last night he had a 2-run single. but he's still struggling, and he's not in the lineup tonight because there's a lefty going for the Yankees, so he's not involved in that. But he's had a rough year, and I think they did him a disservice by not sending him down sooner. In fact, I was one of the ones that believed they should have sent him down last year when he struggled, just to get his head on straight, and that didn't happen. And I think it could be a carryover this year, but. Yeah, dude is coming around. Wright's having his usually good year, and it should be a good series, as you said. They always seem to play those games like a World Series, Game 7. So should be interesting. And of course, the Mets are a little bit. You might say they're hot right now, which is something we couldn't say all year. The Mets and being hot in the same sentence when that's two words that you put together. But so far they're good. Pitching may be starting to come around, so it should be interesting against Miami once we get down there in that lineup. But Miami always seems to give them trouble.
Yeah, I mean they'll both play great. I mean, you guys don't like us down out of the playoffs 2 years in a row, 2007, 2008. But I know last time we talked about a trade. Can we go back to that, or?
Sure, if you want to bring it up.
Now, well, I know we'll brush on the one we talked about before, but then I have another one for you. But we talked about the Stanton for Harvey, and you said that you guys wouldn't do it at all. And
right.
I was wondering, maybe the people that are going to listen to your show, maybe they could hear it. I think Stanton for Harvey straight up wouldn't be a bad trade for you guys. You need the outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
Have Zach Wheeler coming up. You still have Niche. You still have Gee. You got the guy from Toronto too. Didn't you get a guy in Toronto in the Toronto trade that's supposed to be a pretty good pitcher? He's like one of your top 5 prospects.
Yeah. Yes. Noah Syndergaard. He is in A-ball right now and doing pretty well. And probably I would expect him to be moved up to Double-A by halfway through the season or whatever. But, he's pitching pretty well.
So you guys got some pitching that you could bounce back on. And the Mets, they can spend money. So they could get a pitcher or something for next year. So I would think that, the Harvey for Stanton trade is fair because you're getting, Giancarlo Stanton, which is, I think, right now one of the top 5 right-handed hitters in baseball.
Right.
And, Harvey, it's only the second year. You never know what's going to happen from now on. But I would like to have the top of the.
Yeah.
I was saying because we need a closer. Would you take Reggiano for Bobby Purnell?
I don't want to trade Purnell either. No, I don't think I'd make that trade either. I'm sorry. I'm tough. Parnell's just come.
What about Reggiano and Ricky Nolasco for Bobby Purnell?
I don't know. It's such, we've been looking for a closer too the last couple of years, and now to have developed one on our own, I don't know. They're hard.
Mejia could be a closer for you guys.
Yeah, but he's coming. We don't know with him either because he's coming back from Tommy John surgery, so he's a question mark, and he's still recovering. So he could be, but it's one of those things where you don't have anybody to close, and you just developed a good one, and you really would hate to depart with someone like that.
Because Reggiano, you're still going to have him for 3 more years under control. He's only 30. He could play center for you guys, So I'm thinking that, we're going to have to get rid of some outfielders, and I want to bring back things that we need, not young guys like we've been.
Right, right.
We need a closer, and we don't really need any starters, and we don't really need outfielders. So and Coughlin's hitting right now. We don't need a third baseman either. So
no, we're set there. So
yeah. Well, I like William Flores that you guys have, but now that we have Cox and we have Solano that might not have a spot because of Dietrich and Coughlin, now we don't need a third. So if we, I kind of think that he has a bad rap. Well, not a bad rap. He's in a bad situation because David Wright's there.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
nowhere to play this kid. But if Ike Davis don't hit, what about moving Daniel Murphy to first and putting William Flores at second? Have you guys explored that, or is that?
Well, they've talked about that. They've also talked about playing Flores at first base, and I think he's played a few games at Las Vegas, the AAA team. He's played a few games there this season just to see if he could handle that, because they say he's not very fast.
He's not fast.
No, he's not fast at all. So they're saying he could end up being a first baseman. The thing with him is he's in AAA, and they might have rushed him because he's only 21 years old. He's already at AAA, and it seems like he's been in this organization for 110 years. I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah, he's been there forever.
He's been here forever, but he's only 21 years old. So perhaps they rushed him a little bit, you know, because his numbers have been okay, but nothing spectacular. So
what I heard is that he's ready. That's what I heard.
Well, yeah, some scouts say he's ready, some say no. So that's where the argument comes in. Is he ready? Is he not? I think he's hitting. Don't hold me to this, but I think the last time I looked, it was like he was hitting like 265 or something down there. So, and in that league, that's not really that high, you know. So I don't know what the question would be with him, but he would certainly.
What about that other kid that plays second? He's always hurt, but I heard he's pretty good.
Valdespin, or well, there was a couple. It was Reese Havens.
Hey, that's it.
Yeah, he's always hurt though. I don't know how he's doing. I haven't really seen much on him this year, so I don't know.
I heard he's a pretty good ball player though. He's scrappy, like a Wally Backman.
Yeah, when he can stay healthy, that's the problem with him, you know. And you know, it just he's been stuck behind somebody, and again, when he had an opportunity, he got injured and just couldn't come through. So, and how is your bullpen situation down there with the Marlins? How are they doing? I know I just read that Cishek is out of the closing role, and you're going to be closing with committee now.
Well, I think it would be Chad Quails, and if it's a lot of left, you know, like right-handed hitters, you might see Webb, but right now Webb is struggling. AJ Ramos, he either gives up a home run or strikes out the side, so he's having a little bit of issues. Right now, our bullpen is the reason why we lost the last game, last two games maybe, because we've scored 6 runs
Right.
for the last one, and we gave up 7. So.
Yeah, and that's tough when that happens, boy. We were struggling with our bullpen too, but they're starting to gel a little bit and come around. So we just hope it continues on. So.
And see, the thing is, we good pitching and our hitting starting to come around. But when you're a team like I guess the Mets and the Marlins are right now, you seem to use your bullpen a lot.
Right.
And when you use the well too much, like we have 3 really good guys, but if they already have, you know, league chances and we play 55 games, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, it's not gonna help out. So I mean, it's not something that you know we do. You know, I mean, we have to get a little better with maybe utilizing our play a little. You know, and we're having a little problem with the back of the bullpen bouncing people around. Like Kohler now, and he's phenomenal. We moved, you know, LeBlanc to the he was so, and now we have Snobby and end up because Navaldi's about to come back, and he's a great starter. So I mean, we have to get guys in their comfort zones. I didn't think Check was as good as it was. I thought it was it has to be used a lot to be effective. And when you're a team and you only have 13 wins, your closer's not getting a lot of work.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, I remember Bobby Purnell not having in the past. Because I wasn't going to continue to use him as a closer if we got him in. I was, like maybe use him now, but we have him in a double A that's really, and he's going to come up maybe in a year or so, and then Bobby Pennell could put back to like.
Yeah. I don't get the feeling though that they would trade especially a closer within their division. So I don't think that would happen. But we'd sure like to have Giancarlo somehow. But I don't foresee that.
Zach Wheeler isn't. Zach Wheeler try to work something out. I want that 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation. I still think pitching wins rotations. I think that if we Zach Wheeler because he's not proven. Might have.
You're breaking up.
Feel a little better. Just to make us feel a little better. Not because Stan's proven. If guy, he hasn't had any major issues injury wise, and always something little. And I think motivation is another key too. I think that if he goes to the Mets, I know he's a Southern California guy, and that's where he wants to end up. But I think New York is intriguing because what he can accomplish off the field in New York,
right,
money-wise and endorsements. And the Mets eventually, their ownership's going to spend money. And the difference between the Mets and the Marlins is that when the Mets play good and they spend money, you can't get a seat at that game.
No, that's true.
The Marlins, we spent a ton of money last year. We sold out one game last year, opening day. One. The rest of the year, we averaged 27,000 at 37,000 stadium. So that's the thing.
So what is the problem down there that they just can't draw? Is it just people not into them? Is it because they're losing? I mean, like you said, they spent all this money and they still couldn't draw. Well,
people are going to blame Jeffrey Loria, and I don't have dinner with the guy. I do the show and stuff, but everything he said he was going to do, he's done. He said he was going to spend money at the stadium because that lease was horrible.
Right.
There's nothing they could have done. It was terrible. And knowing as Met fans and Met fans that are down here, going to that stadium was terrible. And then he said, hey, if I get a new stadium, I'll spend money. He got a new stadium, and he's the first person to ever get a new stadium down anywhere in Florida. Nobody ever wanted to do it. And he brought you a new stadium. He brought us a new stadium. And then no one came.
Right.
Whose fault is that? You can't have a $110 million payroll and nobody show up when you don't have an owner like the Steinbrenners or even the Wilpons before. You can't have owner. You can't have that. And then they get mad and they're saying we're not winning. Well, all right, so we're going to go and do what we normally do and get rookies and build up a core and win and keep them. And there's no reason not to believe him because he's been doing everything he said. Besides the little things, him lying about this not being a fire sale or him lying about this, just like the Wilpons, they lie about things too. Every owner lies about something. So I don't, they're going to blame Loria, but that's not the case. In Miami, the Heat don't sell out, and they're the best team in the NBA.
Right.
They got LeBron James. The Dolphins don't sell out. Their owner has to buy the remaining tickets so they don't get blacked out.
Right. That's pretty amazing.
Maybe if he stops that, they'll start going to the games because they won't be able to see him on TV.
Yeah.
So look at Tampa Bay. They're not selling. Look at that team. Empty, and they have a winning record.
Yeah.
It might just be the state. I don't know because Jacksonville draws very well. The Jaguars, so I don't know, maybe Tampa Bay Buccaneers draw well, and the Yankees farm system down here, in Tampa, they do very well. So I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I know in Miami we have some problems with fans. You got to win and win a lot for them. You have to be the in thing for them to go to,
right.
And it's a shame because the stadium is beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I've only seen it on TV, but it does look gorgeous, and it is a shame that they can't put more fannies into their seats there. All right.
I'd take 27,000 right now. I would, but it's not happening. But this series, is going to be this series is going to bring a lot of people because a lot of Met fans down here.
Yeah.
And they play each other great. And I'm looking forward to it because I like the Mets how they went back to a more of a traditional uniform than that black and everything that they're going to.
Right.
Even though don't want to face Harvey, I want to see him pitch, and you guys are going to be able to see Fernandez. And hopefully both of us are growing in the right direction at the same time. So in a couple of years, we're at the top and everybody else is at the bottom, and the rivalry will be a little stronger again.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. All right, Frank, I want to thank you for being on the show. Anything you want to plug at all?
No, just, if you guys want to hear any Marlins talk, I don't know if that's the case or anything, but, we're on Blog Talk Radio and, blogtalkradio.com/MCR1. So, and if you guys ever want to check us out, we get, you guys can call in. We get players on. We have another minor league player on the 10th. We had a minor league player on our last show. So we get a lot of players on. So if you guys ever want to talk to anybody, you can. Yeah, that's about it, and I appreciate you having me on. I'll definitely, anytime you want me on, just give me a holler.
All right, Frank. That was Frank Conti, Marlins Country podcast. Go check it out, and we'll be back in a second. You can now hear our show while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. On-demand news, talk, and more on your mobile phone. The latest episode is always available for you. No syncing needed and no memory or storage wasted. Available for your iPhone, Android phone, WebOS phone, or your BlackBerry. Downloading is easy. Go to Stitcher.com or check out your app store. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Hi, this is the world-famous Mr. Brewtown of BrewtownSports.podomatic.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, Brewtown Sports. You can also listen to the show at Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and iTunes.com. And we've got the new one. It's called BrewtownRadio.weebly.com, but the one that I'm most proud of being on is BaseballPodcast.net. It is the home of great baseball talk shows. Check it out, my show and all kinds of other programs all about Major League Baseball. So check it out. That's baseballpodcast.net, the home for great baseball talk shows.
Hey, golf fans, this is Gary Mack of Talking Golf with Gary, and I hope you'll join me weekly as we explore the world of golf. We'll recap all the action of the week and all the news and notes that goes with it. We'll look at the calendar and maybe even sneak in an interview or two. So join me weekly at Talking Golf with Gary on wwsnradio.com. 516-619-6341. That is the voicemail comment hotline. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, comment, question, anything at all, that's the number to call, 516-619-6341, or go to MetsMusings.com. Click on the widget on the right-hand side of the page and send a voicemail right through that page. You can do that right there. So go ahead and do that. Or look, if you're old-fashioned and you want to send me an email, you can do that too. Send it to MetsMusings@gmail.com, and we'll try to answer any questions, comments, trivia, anything you want. Send it to us, whatever. All right, and that's going to about wrap up the show for this week. I want to thank Frank Conti again for being on the show from Marlins Country, a Blog Talk Radio podcast. So go and check it out and listen to some good Miami Marlins. Find out what's going on with the Marlins. As we said, as we're recording this right now, the Mets are leading 2-1 in the sixth inning. So let's go Mets. Hope for the sweep. And they will be going to Miami for 3 big games. Off day on Monday, and then they head to our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., to play the Washington Nationals in another 3-game set. And look, they're playing well right now. This is an opportunity to make some moves. This is a chance to get back maybe in this race, or at least to get a little bit more respectable and get that record on the winning side, or close to it as possible. And so that's going to wrap it up again for this week. I hope you all enjoy the show, and hope you enjoy the rest of this evening and the end of the Subway Series. And hopefully the Mets will keep it rolling, and we'll be back next week to talk about it. Until then, don't forget, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets.